Hello, Rama Rama Pupoda. Hope all are in good health, feeling great, wonderful, relaxed, and peaceful. Now let's go to chapter 28, part 3. The Sadhu in the cave. Ramdas rose early next morning, left Shivapuri, and proceeded on his journey along the river bank. The sign pointed out by the cultivator was missed. About 3 miles tramp brought him to a spot where further journey was cut off. He attempted a cliff but had to give it up, for it was too steep and had absolutely no supports. He stopped and spoke to Ram. Ram, you are playing a funny game with Ramdas. Do as you will. Ramdas returns. If he were asked why he did not reach Vashistashram, he would plainly say that you fooled him and sent him back halfway. It was all Ram's will, Ram's play. Once again, Ramdas retraced his steps and by about 9 o'clock reached Shivapuri. He had no prompting to go to the village and so continued his journey. He passed the bank by the village but had not gone a few yards when he met two mountaineers, forms of Ram. All forms are his, coming towards him from the opposite direction with two empty kerosene tins tied to their backs. They were tall young men. They saluted him, Ram, Ram, and questioned him as to where he was going and what he was about. He explained to them his object of visiting Vashistashram, how it was thwarted, and one of his final retreat to the plains. Now one of them said, Turn back again, we are going with you. Our way also lies toward Vashistashram. We can escort and guide you along. Ram, what a fast and loose player you are. The friends were quick trampers, accustomed to hill climbing, so they thought it would be as well to make Ramdas walk before them so that he might not lag behind. But the Shakti or power of God was tingling in Ramdas' veins. He skipped, danced, and ran. The friends followed as best as they could. Now began an ascent on the hills. Here again his speed was as fast as ever. He was running up like a squirrel. After covering some height, he halted and looked back. The two friends were still about 40 or 50 yards behind, tearing along in hot pursuit. They waved their hands and hallooed him to stop. They came up to him, gasping for breath and peering at him with curious twinkle in their eyes, and said, You are not an ordinary fellow. You, well nigh knocked the wind out of us. No good to have you in front. Henceforth you shall follow us. At this, Ramdas could not resist laughing, in which they heartily joined. So he had to go behind them. The gallop was now reduced to a trot, and when close to their back, he would jump like an India rubber ball. The play of Shakti in him was irresistible. At about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the party reached the summit of a high mountain where there was a long, narrow hut peopled by cultivators and their cattle. The sun was hot, and so the friends proposed to have some rest at this place. In a small outer hut, he was asked to sit on some hay spread on the floor. The friends went inside the large hut and prepared from the provisions supplied by the hospitable dwellers of the hut meals consisting of rice, vegetable curry, and curds. When things were ready, he was asked to join them, and he had a refreshing dinner. It was the fare of the gods that he partook there, so simple, pure, and delicious. Altogether, after an hour's rest, he continued the journey with the two friends again. Now the path was through brambles, heaps of dry leaves, and network of trees and creepers. It was a gradual descent, and at about 6 o'clock, the trio sighted the river bank again. One of them said, We are now very near to the Vashistha cave. Where? Cried out Ramdas in irrepressible glee. They came on the bank. There, pointed the finger of the friend towards the yawning mouth of the cave at some distance. Now Ramdas could not resist himself. He rushed in the direction like wind, leaving the friends behind. At the entrance of the cave, he found standing a tall, thin Sadhu in his cowpin. He had been told by the friends who guided him that the cave was occupied by a Mahatma. Directly he saw the Sadhu, he ran towards him and prostrated at his feet. He did not seem to like this mode of salutation. He remonstrated by the gesture of his hands. He entered the cave and Ramdas followed him. It was a large and spacious cave, about 10 feet high and 15 feet wide and 20 feet long. As Ramdas stepped in, he observed at the left-hand corner a number of tins arranged in a line. The floor was covered at the front by 2 gunny bags and by a wide white quilt at the further end, which served as the Sadhu seat. In the center of the cave, there was a small fireplace or duni. At the mouth of the cave, on the right, there was a neatly stacked pile of firewood. Ramdas sat down on one of the gunny bags, and the Sadhu occupied his seat. By this time, the 2 friends who guided him also arrived. They remained for a few minutes and then, taking leave, departed. Ram, after all, brought his child to the ashram. Now the Sadhu looked at Ramdas and asked, "What brought you here?" "Ram has brought Ramdas here to see the cave and also for your darshan," replied Ramdas. "Have you had any food during the day?" he inquired. "Yes," said Ramdas. "The guides who escorted him hither have been kind enough to feed him on the way." Now, staring at Ramdas more closely, he asked, "Is this all you have got about you? Do you possess any money?" "No, Ramdas has no command from Ram to carry money with him," answered Ramdas. "In that case, you have come here to starve," said the Sadhu deliberately. "Now listen," he continued. "I shall tell you how matters stand with me. I am neither a Sadhu nor a Mahatma. I am simply Vaishya merchant. I occupy this cave for 3 or 4 months in the year. It is not possible to remain here during the rains when the river swells and her water inundates the cave. The rest of the year I spend in my native place, in the plains. There I engage myself in some trade and collect profits amounting to about 200 rupees, with which I come here. I am not beholden to anybody for anything. I spend my own money to meet my wants. For a month past, I have been living merely upon milk diet. I take daily not more than a 3/4 seer of milk, which I procure from the villages on the mountains. A man from the village brings me milk at noon every day and I pay him down cash for it. Do you understand? If you would have any food, you ought to climb up the hills and get bhiksha from the villages. To go up and down for it will absorb most of the day, and at that rate it would not be worth your while to stay here. So I would advise you to leave this place as early as possible. What are your plans? How long do you intend staying here?" he questioned. That's all, folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Pupoda.